report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and had them tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Versailles, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. Thanks for joining us. Back in our sound room tonight, it's TK, and filling in for the vacationing Heavy D is our old buddy Ross. Out in Studio R, it's Covey and Kearns. Always excited to hear what they have to say. And Ken, another big night on FRL Talking Hoops.
Yes, it is, Craig. We're going to go out and we're going to talk some MAC girls basketball tonight. Before we get to that, though, we're going to talk some Shelby County League boys and girls basketball, kind of recap the standings in each of those leagues right now, Craig. But the big game on tap Thursday night when it comes to MAC girls basketball, Craig, one of the biggest battles in the state of Ohio, and that's because it's between two of the best teams in the state of Ohio. Really looking forward to going over to Versailles and talking to one of the most successful coaches in girls basketball, and that's their head coach, Jacki Stonebraker.
All right, and speaking of MAC basketball, tonight's poll question is an easy one.
Yes, it is. You know, it's you pick one or the other, and we're going to ask our listening audience tonight, which of these two teams do you feel will win that big battle Thursday night in girls MAC basketball? Will it be Minster or will it be Versailles? Simply choose one of them two. We'll go back to the sound room later in the show, talk to TK, see what the telemetrics have to say, and we'll find out who our viewers think's going to win that game Thursday night.
Yeah, of course, when the state polls came out this week, we knew that Minster was number one in Division 4. They stayed number one, and Versailles now number one in Division 3. So the biggest game in the state, that's for sure. If you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page on your computer or on your phone tonight, you can scroll down, help us answer tonight's poll question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco cable television, TK is going to have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started and talk some SCAL boys basketball. And if we go back to last Friday, been a very exciting week. Let's take a look at the standings and see where we're at right now.
Well, Craig, a big game last night over there in Anna. The Anna Rockets knocked off Fort Loramie Redskins, which really tightened things up in the Shelby County League standings, Craig. Fort Loramie, Anna, and Russia all sitting at 6-1 in the league right now. It's a three-team race. We said that, Craig, before the season started. We thought that it would be a three-team race. Don't count out, your Jackson Center, Fairlawns, and Bockenjet and House. They're still going to have a say-so in what happens in the Shelby County League boys basketball standings. But it's a three-team race. Anna had a big comeback win last night at against Fort Loramie over there at Anna, and really put the league standings back into a turmoil.
Let's talk about those Redskins a little bit. Lost their hold on that number one spot. They've had an interesting January. Couple overtime games over there at Versailles. They lost by 2. Had an overtime game against Minster on Saturday. Lost by 1. And then they lose in overtime to Anna on Tuesday night. So, could you see it coming a little bit?
Well, they got a great team over there, Craig, and they've had some tough competition. They played at Versailles and they pulled one out there. They played Minster and they pulled one out there, both overtime games. And then last night, Craig, when they went over to the launching pad over there at Anna, one of the toughest places to play. But Fort Loramie got off to a great start. They got off to a 13-point lead early in the game. They had a 13-point lead still late in the third quarter. But give the Anna Rockets credit. Give credit where credit is due. They came back. They fought back. They never gave up. They never got down on themselves. And, got some big buckets from Dosek and Bentzman, of course, and Plattfoot hit a big bucket. So, the Rockets, they got a huge win last night. They had to win that game to stay in the Shelby County League standings. They did. And they proved one thing, Craig, that Fort Loramie is beatable. So all these other good teams that play the Redskins, the Redskins got a big target on their back right now. But the Rockets, they showed that they're not invincible.
Yeah, too many. You don't hear too many coaches admitting that a loss is ever a good thing, and I'm sure Coach Britton may not admit that himself. But maybe when confidence is riding high, maybe a loss is a good thing to maybe get you back focused and playing hard again. But like I said, if we go all the way back to last Friday, another big game in the Shelby County League when Russia hosted Jackson Center. Didn't go to overtime, but it was an exciting one nonetheless.
Yes, it was, Craig. Big win for Russia Raiders. They held serve on their home court against a very stubborn, defensive-oriented Jackson Center team. We talked about that game last week and said, when Coach Elkert and Coach Codonier get together, it's always a battle. Every possession means a lot, and that game was no different. Raiders took the game right down to the final buzzer, got a big bucket from Evan Mooney right there with about 1 tick left on the clock, and the Raiders got out of there with a win. So big win for Coach Codonier and his team. They take Friday night off from Shelby County League action so they can go out and watch these other teams play and relax a little bit. And, they're sitting right where they want to be. They're tied for first place. You can't ask for much more.
And Russia does have a big game this Saturday. Of course, it's not a league game, but it's against the Versailles Tigers. And whenever those two teams hook up, you can throw the records out the window.
Absolutely, Craig. Going to be a big contest, going to be a packed gymnasium. Russia and Versailles get together, Craig. It's always a lot of fun. A lot of people know each other, a lot of friends between the two communities. Those communities, they're only 2 minutes apart. So it's just going to be a barn burner, I'm sure. Two great basketball teams, two great traditions, two well-coached teams that'll play fundamental basketball. Look for a very good basketball game in front of a packed house.
Can't wait for that. That's for sure. All right, Ken, let's change gears and talk some SCAL girls. And, and a lot going on there as well. Let's check out those standings right now.
Well, Fort Laramie and Anna, Craig, and that's the boys' standings, actually. But Fort Laramie is sitting on top of the Shelby County League girls' standings, undefeated yet in the league. Russia and Anna, Craig, they're not far behind there. So, there's a lot of basketball to be played yet, but, it's going to be a tough run for Fort Laramie. But I think, Russia's got a crack on him yet, and we'll see what happens as the schedule plays out.
All right, two guys that know a lot about the SCAL girls are, of course, Covey and Kearns. We'll go out to Studio R. And, guys, 3 big games coming up on Thursday. Houston at Fairlawn, Jackson Center at Botkins, and Russia at Anna. And, oh, by the way, we've got that big game we just talked about with Minster at Versailles. Want to get your thoughts on all that, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, first off, so we're going to start off with Houston and Fairlawn. The Houston Wildcats, after struggling, starting 0-8, have rattled off a couple wins, a handful of wins here lately. I'm going to take the Wildcats here, just with some experience with the Monier girls, but I think they're truly the better team than Fairlawn here.
Yeah, definitely. Fairlawn's been struggling the past couple years, and definitely the Monier girls are a big impact for that team. They finally got their offense running around them, and I'll for sure take Houston as well.
Next, Jackson Center at Botkins. Two teams I think are very similar, both struggling on the offensive end lately. I saw the Tigers play last week against Russia. Only scored 21 points. Botkins, too, is struggling to put points up at a certain amount of times. But I'm going to take Jackson Center here on the road. They won the first matchup, and I think they're going to have the serious sweep here this year.
I'm going to go against you. I think I'm going to take Botkins. I think Sarah Bergman can match up with Olivia Clark really well in the paint, and both those girls are going to battle in the paint all night, and I think they could keep them in check to really make the other players have an impact. And I believe that Botkins has a better supporting cast with Sarah Bergman against Jackson Center, so I'll take Botkins in that one. And
SCL game of the night, Russia at Anna. Russia won, staved off the Rockets the first time they played. Rockets got some influx of some young players. They got some older players like Macy Hulskamp, but they got a young freshman, Ella Dosek, at the point guard. Russia's been struggling to put up some points lately. The other night only put up, I think, 22 points against Tri-Village. That Tri-Village team looking really solid. Probably be a district championship team. So I'm going to have to take the Rockets here at home. I think it'll be a series split. But the Raiders, it's a must-win game if they at least want to have a share of league.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Anna. I think the way they play offensively, and I think the way that Russia's been struggling lately, Russia put up 22 points last Monday night, 8 of which came in the second half, which is single digits, and the Raiders, they're not going to be able to win, especially on the road at the launch pad in Anna. With numbers like that, I just don't think they'll be able to get it done. I think I'll take Anna as well.
And I think the game of the week, and perhaps the game of the week in the state of Ohio, is the newly number 1 Versailles Tigers, Lady Tigers ranked number 1 in Division III, and the Minster Lady Wildcats, who've been ranked number 1 in Division IV all year, will meet up just across the way in Versailles. This is going to be a great game. I've been anticipating it from the start of the season. Winner here. I win smack here, obviously, here, Daniel. What do you expect?
I think I'll take Minster in this one. Although Versailles is a fantastic team, Stonebraker, she always has a great team over there. But I think with the experience that Minster has from the regional finals last year, I think the way that the girls play and the chemistry that they got on the court, they just took down a great team, Ottoville, last week. So I think the way they've been playing, especially Ivy Wolf, Allie Fisher, that whole starting five, also with Courtney Pranger, you can't forget about her, Xavier Commit. I think with that kind of offensive power, I think they'll be able to take on Versailles head-to-head and get the win.
Yeah, definitely. Both these teams are battle-tested, I think. They both play in a tough conference in the MAC, even though I said from the beginning these are the top two teams, and then you kind of got Fort Recovery and New Bremen, and then you just got everyone else. But these are two of the best teams in the state of Ohio, no doubt. Small school division 3 and 4 basketball. Minster's been struggling a bit lately. It's kind of weird to say that for a one-loss team, but they lost to Elyria Catholic and Classic in the Country up in Berlin Highland. Won a close game, won a rivalry game with New Bremen, and then edged Ottoville the other day, 55-54. We'll have to take the Wildcats. Both these teams have tremendous depth, but I'm going to be interested to see if Coach Wiss or Stonebraker are going to cut their bench down to about 8 players or so. I'm sure I'll be in attendance in the Versailles gym. I'm going to take the Wildcats in a close game of 48-44, and I think the difference is going to be Courtney Pranger. I take her pound for pound over anyone in the MAC. The Xavier commit, that's really been Minster's focus lately, is to get her a lot of touches. She had 22 points the other day against Ottoville. So I think Minster's inside game, her and the combination of Taylor Kogi are going to be key. They're going to have to force some switches and maybe open up some of their shooters. I think Damaris Wolf and Allie Fisher are going to be key to knock down some threes in this game. So that's why I'm going to take the Wildcats.
But you can't forget about the Winter Twins and also Lizzie Ording, who's going to be able to match up with Kogi and Pranger. What do you think Versailles is going to do against those two ladies?
Well, we'll have to see. I think Kogi's going to have a big game to help off Pranger, because I think a lot of touches are going to go through her. So we're going to have to see Kogi maybe put up 8-10 points this game to help take a load off Courtney. And I think the shooters are going to have to work the inside-out game a bit and knock down some three-point shots. And that's all we have from Studio R. Back to you guys.
All right, great stuff, guys, and thanks for that. Ken, you got a pick on that game?
Well, Craig, that's going to be a great basketball game, just like Covey and Kearns talked about. A lot of experience on both sides of the court. The game's at Versailles. I seen Versailles play. I didn't see Minster play. You know, if you're going to beat Versailles, you're going to have to be pretty darn good. So I'm going to take the Tigers. I'm going to go against Covey and Kearns. I'm going to take the Tigers.
All right.
How about you? Who are you taking?
I'm going for Versailles as well. So we got a split crew here. That's for sure.
We got a split crew. I got one other thing, Craig. Before we go to break, I'd like to congratulate Fort Loramie star basketball player Dylan Braun. Joined the 1,000-point club last night. A very tough accomplishment for him to do, for anyone to do. And hats off to Dylan. He's worked really hard on his game, and especially when you're in a defensive-oriented league like the Shelby County League. Not easy to score that many points. So congratulations, Dylan.
Absolutely. Congrats. All right, Ken, we're going to take a short break, but stay right there. When we come back, we're going to talk some more basketball, including that big game on Thursday night with Versailles coach Jacki Stonebraker.
My father said it's time to be home man, but don't go and town in the motherland. You were born with heart, raised on pride. This vinegar runs through your bloodline. Oh,
half of Fish Report Live. Ken, one conference we haven't looked at all year is the MAC girls. So let's take a look at their standings and see where they're sitting at right now.
Well, Craig, sitting atop the standings, you're going to have Versailles at 6-0 and Minster at 5-0. Two of the best teams in the state of Ohio, Craig. Very good league, though. You still got Fort Recovery in there at 11-2 overall, Coldwater at 11-5, and New Bremen sitting at 12-3, Craig. So some really good basketball teams over there in the MAC, but there's no doubt the two heavyweights over there are Versailles and Minster.
And one big reason for Versailles' success, of course, is their longtime head coach, Jacki Stonebraker. Happy to have her live on the phone right now. Coach, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, listen, we're just going through those MAC standings, and congrats on a great season so far. You're 16-1 right now, which is the second best start through 17 games that you've had in your history there at Versailles. The only other better start was back during that magical season of 2007, 2008, when you went 28-0. Of course, that team featured your sister, Justine Ratterman, as well as Emily Bowman. Coach, can you make any comparisons between that great team back then and your girls today?
I don't like to compare teams because I think every team has got its special quirks that we go on, but I can definitely say that looking back between the two teams, we definitely have two comparable teams. Justine was a great player, and so was Emily Bowman. Mallory Bargy was our defensive specialist, and I feel like we've got that three-headed monster again this year, with Danielle inside and Cammie McEldowney outside. And then Ellen Peters is doing a great job as a senior as our defensive specialist. So we've got a lot of role players. Probably the most difference is this now as I coach more, we're probably a little bit more offensive-minded than we were back in the day. I didn't have as many offensive sets and different quirks, I guess, different things that we could do in my repertoire, in my coaching book. So I think we do more things offensively. We run a lot faster, get up and down the floor. But the same with that 08 team, they knew how to play defense. They really locked down on defenders and played some great team basketball. And I think they're two comparable teams. And actually, we brought the 2008 team back this year to recognize them at one of the games for 10 years out, winning that state championship. And we went to, we were talking afterwards, and we were talking about how competitive this team is this year and how competitive they were that year. And of course, they think that they could beat this team. And the 2018 team thinks they could have beat the 2008 team. So they're going back and forth, drawing it out right now.
Well, hard to believe that was 10 years ago. Certainly a very special team. And speaking of being offensive-minded, I couldn't help but notice through these first 17 games, you're averaging almost 60 points per game, 59.8 to be exact, which I believe is your highest average ever through 17 games in your career there. But last year, you were averaging close to that. You're at 58, and there's been a lot of talent at Versailles over the years. So, what's made you become more offensive-minded in these last several years?
I don't know. The growth of just watching the game and stacking plays on top of each other and finding different cuts here and different little things that we need to mix up here and there, and just the seniors playing for 3 or 4 years together. I feel like they've kind of just built up a nice offensive package, I guess, for them to play with. And just getting better at running the ball up and down the court, getting more touches on the ball, getting more offensive looks instead of just playing a half-court offense and defense.
Coach, hi, this is Ken Francis. Let's talk a little bit about your group of seniors. You've got a great group there, but it's highlighted by two seniors that seem like they've been at Versailles High School forever, and that's Cammie McEldowney and Danielle Winter, both members of the 2015 state championship game or team. How important, obviously, are these two to your team on the floor, but more importantly, maybe off the court? How do they just help gel this team together?
Well, they're just awesome leaders. I mean, you saw it in volleyball. Those were the two girls they went to, Danielle in the front row and Cammie in the back row. And, they're both coaches on the floor. A lot of times I look to both of those girls in a timeout and say, what do you guys feel? What are you looking at? What do you see? What do you think we should change? What do you think we should do? And they respond quickly with something. Even if it might not be the right answer, they know how to respond. And you have to have those type of kids on the floor, coaches on the floor, to win ball games, close ball games, big ball games. And just having that leadership and presence is important for us and for any team.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about the big game Thursday night. Of course, you take on the Minster Wildcats. The game is at Versailles. Probably will be, very well could be, the best team you play all year, regardless of division. Obviously, you want to get a win out of this game, but maybe more importantly, you won't see Minster again the rest of the year. They're Division 4, you're Division 3. What do you hope to gain from this game besides a win?
We've got some goals set. We've got, we want to make sure that we stop their running game, but yet continue to run ours. We want to limit their touches in the post and not let Courtney Pranger just do what she wants to with the ball. Little things here and there. We're playing against some really, really good basketball players. Some teams have one or two of these types of basketball players on their team, and Minster is they've got 4, 5, 6 of them that they can bring on the floor at the same time. So I feel like if we can concentrate on little parts of their game, that'll just make us better and more prepared for tournament when we hit teams that only have 1 or 2 of these type of athletes. Again, we've got our goals set, but the ultimate goal is to get a win. We haven't beat this team in 2 or 3 years, and I feel like, we have to do it this year. And come back and say that, we want to be the top of the MAC, but more importantly, we just want to protect our home court. We love playing on our home court, and we want to protect it. But it's a great preparation game. It means a little bit more than playing a non-league game. It means a little bit more to us this year, but it's a great preparation game for the end of the season.
Coach, I got one more question before I turn it back over to Craig. And let's talk about the Versailles, the younger team over there, and that's the JV team. I follow that team a little bit as well. I know they're doing very, very well. I think they've only got 1 loss on the season as well. I know you got a daughter on that team. I seen them play a couple weeks ago over at Russia. Just a ton of great athletes.
Yeah.
And I seen them substitute them in 5 at a time. I was like, man, and the 15th girl was as good as the first girl. It was unbelievable. So how do you blend all that talent and work with them all equally, because you want them all to be a part of the program when they're all that good?
Absolutely. We've got 29 girls in our program. We've got a wealth of talent and just girls that want to play basketball. And I'm very fortunate that these girls continue to go out. You get some programs around the area, around the state, that can't field a JV team, and we've got 29 girls just wanting to play and can't wait to step on that court. So our practices are extremely competitive. We go against our JV team once or twice a week, and we get some competitive games out of them, and not every team can say that. So us practicing against our JV team is like a lot of teams playing a regular game, and we get that every day in practice. And I keep telling these girls, do not settle. You always want to be pushing, the upperclassmen or the varsity players. And they work hard. They work extremely hard. And, like I said, I'm grateful that they can play.
Hey, Coach, one more question before we let you go. And this is actually more of a story than a question, so give me just a minute here. But I was last Sunday was actually over at the Versailles bowling alley over there at McBo's. Got the opportunity to meet your parents, Jim and Karen Ratterman. Very nice folks, and it was all my pleasure. But afterwards, one of the guys in our group recalled a story about your dad coaching a 6th grade basketball team here at Russia 40 years ago, back in 1978, and they won a tournament over at the Sidney Shelby County YMCA. Well, he emailed me a picture today of the trophy and the newspaper article from that. We're going to put that on our monitor right now for our viewers. But my friend said back then at Russia, they didn't start practicing basketball till 7th grade. But your dad organized the 6th grade team. They practiced. They ate pizza. He said they just really had a whole lot of fun, and he's never forgot about it. And he said your dad definitely had a positive impact on his life, which I guess explains why my friend kept this 40-year-old trophy in newspaper article. But, Coach, I'm not sure if you were around in 1978, but does any of this surprise you?
No, it doesn't. I was around in 1978. I did live in Russia for 2 years of my life. So I can imagine that he would want to be involved in the game of basketball. He's always given back, to the communities that he's been involved in, and it doesn't surprise me that he did that for Russia as well. And, I guess I can give all my credit to coaching to my father now. I didn't know he used to coach. He did used to coach us every day, after every practice, after every game. He coached us, but I didn't realize he coached the 6th grade when we weren't even of age to play.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Coach, that's great stuff. Appreciate you being on our show tonight. We always enjoy talking to you. And, you've done a great job, obviously, over there with the Versailles basketball program. Keep it up. Good luck Thursday night. And good luck the rest of the season. And hope you have the same success that volleyball team had over there as well. So good luck to you the rest of the year.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. And that was the head coach of the Versailles Tiger, Jacki Stonebraker, in her 15th season over there, Ken. And let's go back to our sound room and check in with the guys back there. We've got TK and, like I said, our old buddy Ross filling in for Heavy D tonight. And Ross, how's things going back there tonight?
It's going good.
Well, listen, I know you're playing junior high ball, and I certainly get to all of your games. We saw a good game last Friday, that Russia Jackson Center High School game. What do you prefer more, watching a good game like that or playing basketball?
Probably playing basketball, but I like them both.
All right, and I know TK actually was with us last week bowling. We had the whole Fish Report crew there.
I thought I thought maybe we'd have a few shots at TK and Heavy D at the bowling alley, and actually I think we do here. If look at that, all kinds of sports. We're covering it all. We were even at McBo's on Sunday night.
So TK, I know I heard a few complaints about some bowlers being sore on Monday morning. Were you among those?
I might have been. I think I've been on a leave pretty much ever since Sunday night. So starting to feel a little bit better. Not the biggest bowler you've ever found around, but I had a great time. And I got to figure out some exercises and some stretches, things for next month's event, and make sure I'm not quite as sore as this time around.
The key is, TK, is to bowl more strikes, because the more strikes you throw, the less balls you got to throw.
That's
Absolutely,
right.
Yeah. Bowling stretches. I've never heard of that, but I guess there is such a thing, huh?
We'll have to ask Keith about that. Keith Bowman.
He's a good guy. All right, well, one more thing to get to, guys, and stay right there, but that's tonight's poll question. We're going to have Ken read it for our viewers one more time, and we'll have TK check the results.
Simple question tonight, but a lot of fun with this one. Who do you feel is going to win Thursday night's MAC girls basketball title? Will it be the Minster Wildcats or the Versailles Tigers? TK, what are the telemetrics saying back there?
Well, even though we had the coach on tonight, looks like the Versailles fans are the ones that got to the monitor, and it's Versailles 78%, Minster 78% feel Minster's going to win that game over at Versailles. So
they're siding with Covey and Kearns tonight.
They're heavily populated toward the Wildcats. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be a good one.
Number one versus number one.
That's right. Something has to give.
All right. Great stuff, guys, and thanks for that. And that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. We do want to say special thanks to our guest, Jacki Stonebraker, for joining us on the show tonight. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week, same time, same place. Until then, have a great rest of the week, everyone, and good night.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging